Have you ever thought about how your clothing choices impact the planet? The fashion industry has a huge environmental footprint, from the production of fabrics to the disposal of unwanted clothes. It wasn't always like this, but since the arrival of fast fashion in the 90s, huge segments of the industry prioritize speed and affordability, constantly churning out new collections inspired by the latest trends. But this fast approach to fashion has a devastating impact on our environment. Among the 100 billion garments produced each year, 92 million tons end up in landfills. This waste can take over 200 years to decompose in landfills, releasing greenhouse gas and leaching toxic chemicals into our soil and groundwater. Globally, the fashion industry is the second largest industrial polluter and responsible for a staggering 8% of total carbon emissions. It's also a major consumer and polluter of the Earth's, diminishing fresh water supply. We may want to make more sustainable choices, but the higher price tag of eco-friendly fashion can be a barrier. But you don't have to choose between style and sustainability. Affordable, sustainable fashion choices do exist, from upcycling to ethical brands that won't break the bank. How did we get to a place where fast fashion is the norm? Let's take a step back and look at how it started. Fast fashion became common in the 1990s because of cheaper, speedier manufacturing and shipping methods, an increase in consumers' appetite for up-to-the-minute styles, and the increase in consumer purchasing power, especially among young people.
To be honest, I go for more fast fashion because that's what I can afford at the moment.
I pretty much see everything I want.
If you wonder why sustainable fashion is so expensive, you might also ask yourself why fast fashion is so cheap. The answer lies in the environmental and ethical costs that fast fashion hides. Fast fashion often involves unregulated factories, unsafe working conditions, and unfair wages. 248 out of the world's 250 largest fashion brands do not disclose how many workers are paid a living wage. In contrast, ethical fashion brands prioritize sustainable fabrics and fair wages, which makes their products more expensive. Now, let us walk through some solutions. Slow fashion. Slow fashion is a response to the negative impacts of fast fashion. It merges social responsibility and environmental awareness with high-quality, timeless clothing. The slow fashion movement encourages consumers to invest in quality over quantity, which means buying fewer items but wearing them for longer. Although slow fashion may seem more expensive, it can be more affordable in the long run. One way to tell if a garment has been ethically produced is by checking on Good On You. Good On You is a fashion brand rating site that measures brand sustainability and ethics. The average British consumer spends over £500 on clothing each year, but only wears 10% of their wardrobe daily and keeps 60% of it for less than a year.
So that's good to remember that whenever we are buying something, it would be really good that actually that really comes to the need, that we are not buying extra stuff and use them a couple of times and then throw them away. All consumers can also live it like educate themselves about garment choices and good quality.
Patronize small businesses. We can choose to spend our money at local and small businesses as they tend to produce less waste and have a smaller carbon footprint. Buying items that are made locally also reduces emissions because the items don't have to travel as far to get from the manufacturer to the consumer.
Oh, certainly. If I can patronize smaller businesses, it's a way of encouraging them to become bigger brands.
I don't even see them. So I think they have to be seen first.
There are more pocket-friendly alternatives. Shopping secondhand and vintage, rethinking what you already have, swapping clothes, occasionally renting for special occasions, reselling of used clothing on Vinted and Finds, saving to shop in end-of-season sales, and buying seasonal clothes ahead of time.
So renting it is a really, really good idea. I've got a couple of weddings coming up anyway, so I'll probably look at renting some stuff for them.
Of course, fashion have to be fun. And I think that, all consumers can be a little bit more like not only critical, but also a little bit more like creative, that what you can do, what kind of style you can create for yourself. And in that sense, also second-hand fashion is actually quite good because you can buy second-hand fashion and then begin to modify that or then begin to make a different kind of like a combination to styling, for example. So I think that we should be much more brave, much more creative with the fashion.
After you have acquired your garment, what more can you do to save the planet? The fashion revolution. The fashion revolution asks consumers to demand for a more transparent and ethical fashion industry by asking their favorite brands and retailers, #Who made my clothes? Fashion brands have been forced to answer and take accountability.
I'm always willing to do something when it has a purpose. So since it has a purpose, then I'm more than willing to give it a shout out, doing the hashtags and everything, if it's to save the climate and make the place a safer place for us to live in.
Change laundry habit. Up to 75% of energy consumption for apparel happens after we purchase a garment. This can be changed by washing our clothes less, air dry rather than machine drying, and using our machine wash on the cold setting. This will actually save you money too.
I can hand wash.
Oh, machine drying all the way.
Should anyone be thinking of washing their clothes less?
Finally, in order to dispel the need to dispose of damaged clothing, you have to care for your clothes, fix damaged cloths, pay attention to care labels.
It's very often actually said that the most sustainable garment is the one that you already own, the one that you already have in your wardrobe. So that you should actually try to extend the use time of the garments. That's really important from the sustainability point of view, and you should try to love the garments that you already have, try to maintain them well and repair them, for example.
Fashion can seem like a really frivolous and unimportant thing, but it does have really big environmental and social impacts that affect people around the world, and are doing that right now. So if we all act together, we take action, and that can be through small acts like repairing an item of clothing, sewing a button back on, learning how to do that if you need to. It might feel small, but it is significant. And I guess from the things that I've done, I find that people often get great satisfaction from knowing how to be resourceful, how to work with their clothes resourcefully and be inventive and creative. So I encourage people to have a go at that.
Do you want our planet to be a safer place for everyone? If you said yes, then you ought to contribute your fair share by adopting the solutions you can. The fact that they are not only sustainable but also economical is a plus. If we desire a different result, we must learn to do things differently.